guys, so we're going to go over the 4 types of stretching today. We're going to go over what those types of stretches are, how they can be performed, when you should do them, and when you should not do them. So the 4 types of stretching are your ballistic stretching, your dynamic stretching, your passive stretching, and your active stretching or your PNF stretching. Your ballistic stretching is a stretch that not many people really ever need to perform. It can be said that sometimes your dancers or gymnasts can perform your ballistic stretching because their type of art or performance requires that type of stretch to actually carry out what they're doing. But other than that, not many people really need to do this. This type of stretching is basically if you're stretching your hamstring, what you're going to see, and you'll see people do this type of thing a lot, you're going to be throwing your leg up as high as you can and pretty much as hard as you can. So standing here, straight up like that. That's a very ballistic type of stretch. You can do the same type of thing with almost any body part, including low back. So people will stand, they'll try to stretch their low back like this, and they'll bounce up and down. Not that great, not that necessary. I don't see or feel many opportunities that I would ever recommend this to anybody. Your next is going to be, let's skip past dynamic for now, we'll go to passive stretching. So your passive stretching is a great type of stretch. However, I don't ever recommend this before a sporting event. I also don't recommend it if you're a runner. Don't do it before you're running, don't do it before you're squatting. Basically, if you're about to exercise, play a sport, or you have any type of performing or athletic performance to do, don't do this first, okay? Because it's actually shown to inhibit the muscles that you're stretching, especially immediately after. So the passive type stretching is something you're going to want to do after a performance, after a sporting event, after you go through your athletic techniques. This type of stretch, let's go hamstring again. So basically, if you're stretching your hamstring in a passive stretch, let's do it sitting down. We're just going to stretch forward, hold that hamstring stretch, and you're going to hold. And most people you'll see, they recommend anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. I usually recommend right in the middle, about 45 seconds. 3 sets, 45 seconds, a few times a day if you're really looking to increase flexibility. But again, like I said, do not do this before an athletic event. Wait till after. Your next stretch, now we'll go to more dynamic type stuff. So your dynamic type of stretching is going to be what you see often in the gym. So you'll see people they'll do a set of bench press, and you'll see a lot of arm swinging. So you see a lot of this motion. They'll be doing this. But basically your movement type stretching, you're not trying to go past your normal ranges of motion. You're just trying to get the active ranges of motion that you already have. You're trying to warm those areas up. You can even do this for the legs, for the hip flexor. You can do this in a front lunge even. So going down into your front lunge, coming back up. Down into your front lunge, coming back up. These are types of dynamic stretches. These are great before a performance, before an athletic event, before you run, getting everything mobilized, but not a passive stretch where you're inhibiting. You're just going through your ranges of motion that you're going to use in the exercise, and you're going to perform after you do that range of motion. Now we'll go into the final type of stretch, one of my favorite types of stretches. I use this a lot in my chiropractic office. I use it a lot for rehab therapies. It's called PNF stretching, or simplified active stretching. So PNF stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. On a simpler note, basically active stretching, you are using a quick passive stretch. You're going to let that rest for a minute. With the passive stretch going, you're going to do some breathing techniques, and then you're going to actively resist against that passive stretch. So you're not just sitting there with no motor recruitment. What you're going to be doing is using that muscle to actively press against the stretch that you're trying to obtain. So let's go with a hamstring stretch again. For hamstring PNF stretch, if I'm solo and I'm stretching myself, I'll use something like a belt. You can use a rope, you can get one of these stretch bands that I have. This is nylon, it's very rigid, so you can press against it all you want. What I will do is lie down. I will bring this nylon band right around my foot. Lying on my back, I will actively get into my hamstring stretch. This right here is a passive stretch. I have no resistance and no tension applied. I'm just passively holding. Nothing with my leg is working. Now we're going to add the PNF technique. So when you're in this position, hold for about 10 seconds. Take a deep breath in. Breathe all the way out. And what you're going to do is you're going to actively, with about 10%, 15% of your power, you're going to press back against the stretch. So I'm going to press this way, adding a little power. You can see a little bit of motion there. I'm going to hold that for about 10 seconds. I'm going to continue to breathe. Your breathing is going to tell your body that this is okay. You're not going to break anything. It's going to let your body and your muscles relax. And then what I'm going to do is relax my leg. I'm going to stop adding tension, and I'm going to increase my stretch a little bit. You might get, or you might notice 1 to 2 more inches on your stretch that you didn't have before. And now in this position, you can hold again in your passive, breathe a touch, and then you can go into your PNF again and press again. Hold for 10, same idea when you're done, a little more tension to figure out where your stretch is now. That's a great stretch for rehabbing injuries. It's a great stretch for overall flexibility. But these are the types of stretches that there are. This is how and when to do them. Again, ballistic stretching, probably not for most of you watching this video unless you're a dancer and a gymnast, in which case you really want to get into the research on that. See if it's really the best thing for you. But passive stretching, active stretching, and your dynamic stretching, figure out when to do them, where to do them, and when it's right to do. Okay? Thanks, guys.